Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Freeman Files here on the J-Free 906 podcast channel on YouTube and on Rumble. Also, we got Tom Burns, Seth Bridges, and returning Recon Team number 1, Colin Jamieson. Been a while, Colin. I'm glad you're back.
It has been a little while, yeah.
Busy man these days.
I have to be back. I'm actually looking out at the bay. I look over my laptop and I'm sitting on the bay here, about 5 minutes away from Oak Island. It's a bit of a dreary, foggy evening here down in the bay. If you're wondering what's going on.
Right. As the weather up there in the Nova Scotia area, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick areas have been warming up at all? You getting anything nice out of this? Spring
is coming. It is getting closer. I think there are some boats that are starting to get out. So I just drug down one of my, I'll call my medium-sized center console. So I drug that down to the out of storage yesterday. It's in my garage all ready to go. So I'm just waiting for a nice day, and I'll be out down to the island, and we'll see what's going on. We'll get the early spring peak of Oak Island.
All right. Can't wait for that. I know.
Before the leaves get out, so you can get that zoom lens right in there.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're looking forward to that. I know we really do appreciate all the recon you do for us and getting us some information for Oak Island as they're going through the filming season. I know last year, and Tom and I and Seth, we were having this debate about how many caissons did they actually put in. And I was saying 3 or something like that. And lo and behold, it was 6.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe that they had put in that many. There was just very little evidence of that many going in the ground from what we could see. So
I didn't even notice it. I don't know where I was or what was going on. I mean, I drive by the island about a gazillion times last summer, and I didn't realize there was that many cans that ended up going into place. But anyway, I'll keep a closer eye this year. I'll keep the count on this year, keep a tally.
We'll have to get you some fuel for that boat so you can, get out there more often for sure. Well, thank you folks for joining us here tonight. We are going to be talking about 2 episodes tonight. As most of you know, if you're a regular here checking in and tuning into the channel, you know that I was out last week. We were out of town last week, Christine and I. And so and it was a good time really to skip one and combine 2 together because basically we got the 2 shows that all, gathered up the whole Knights of Malta research into it. So that was really cool. And it was kind of a nice way to put them all together. So we appreciate everybody tuning in tonight for that. We're going to go along. We're going to have 2 giveaways tonight. One that was scheduled for last week, and then one that was scheduled for this week. And let's see if I can bring up some pictures here. I will show you, and we'll announce these hopefully. And I really didn't tell the crew just when we were going to do these throughout the show tonight. So I'm just going to have to. I'm going to have to try to remember
when we're going to draw as a mystery.
Yeah, when we do it is I don't know. We'll just find out. And let me do a share here because we got talking with Colin and so happy to see him back that I didn't even get all this set up. I'm blaming it on him. It's not his fault. I have
one special ask while you're doing this. One of my most favorite things about and what you do is we're all.
Oh, you froze.
Oh, I froze on you.
Yeah, you froze for a second. Now you're clear. Go ahead.
My favorite thing is seeing where everybody's from and the chat comments. I always get blown away by. So if you're out there, please put in the notes. I love to see where everyone around the planet is from. So it's
Germany from Slovenia.
I saw Slovenia go by.
That's so cool. Brazil,
Germany. Wow. Yep. Idaho, Sharon, Idaho. Look at there's Houston, Texas.
Seth, we got a lot of Texans backing around.
Oh yeah, we're well represented.
Florida, well represented. And while we're doing that, I'm going to let you know. Okay, so we got these 2 items here for the first giveaway.
What is that?
That map, that's one of those maps. I actually have one. Whoop, you can see it right here. I have one hanging on the wall that was gifted to me. This is a map, and Leanne Solowski. I hope I pronounced that right. I'm getting a nod from Linda. So Leanne donated that. And this coaster, that was from Karen Public Cover's sister. made that. We picked that up when we were there at in Nova Scotia. Right there at the Karen Public Cover has a little booth she sets up there, a little shed, selling things right there where you go across the causeway to Oak Island. Really cool. And she gives us so many things like Colin. She's doing recon out there all the time, but things are going back and forth across the causeway. And then we also have, let's see if hopefully it's my next picture. There we go. A hat from Carmen Legg. And these 2 stars from Les Bitten. And then the ornament is from Linda. So a couple of different giveaways. So we're going to be doing the spinning twice tonight for that. So, and we'll explain what that entails when we get to that point, as long as I don't forget to do the giveaways and we get that all done properly. Also, and this just came up. So I didn't really have a chance to put any kind of announcement out about this. But as we get to this, and I'll probably say this again later on, because as we build audience throughout the show here tonight, I'll probably mention it again. But tomorrow night, Corian Mall, and this was a post that Linda had put on our Facebook group page, the Curse of Oak Island and Beyond Skinwalker Ranch, that Corian is going to join us tomorrow night. And he's going to explain his presentation as best he can tomorrow night, right here on the J Free 906 podcast. So Corian Mall's coming on. In our, yep. Oh, another 8 other groups. Okay. Oh, word is getting out. Good deal. So Corian is going to be right here with us live tomorrow night. He's in the UK. He said it's going to be a really cool location where he is. So this is going to be exciting because, as you folks know, whenever there's a presentation going on, whether it be Judy or a researcher or Corian, we only see a very small portion of that presentation. And his was really good over there in Malta. So we're going to get more of that story tomorrow night. So we hope you join us for that. We're going to go through a little bit of it that was seen on the show tonight as we go along, but we'll get more of that story. So be sure to tune in tomorrow night for this. That's going to be great. I love having Corian on. He's such a great researcher. So
yeah, thank you both for doing that, because we never get enough. I mean, we couldn't possibly get enough on the show of the research presentations. I'm sure there's stuff they want to kind of keep for a later episode, but just in general, like I feel like all of us here would watch probably 2 hours or more, or whatever they've got, we would take it. So yeah, thank you for being a resource for them to come on, because you told me that earlier. I got so excited, like, yes, I wanted more of last night's presentation.
Yeah, for sure. Especially his, because some of the information that he was sharing there, he said there's a lot more to it than what was aired. So,
well, yeah, I mean, it comes down to, how did you arrive at that conclusion? Not just spitting out some, 30-second soundbite on the show, right?
Yeah. And, it's so interesting to not only be like, oh, here's a genealogical record, but here's a genealogical record directly to the most prominent Templar at the time of their betrayal, when they would have had to remove these treasures. So that is not just a coincidence, in my opinion. It was huge. And it was such a confirmation of what we always talk about with the multi-generational, how does this knowledge get passed? Well, in addition to secret societies, family, and here's one of the most important families. I thought it was great.
Yeah, he's got some great information. He said he could go on forever. His time will be limited, so we're going to get about an hour, or maybe an hour and 15 minutes or so tomorrow night. So I almost decided let's go on early and start airing early, but everybody's so used to 7:30. So we're going to keep it at 7:30, I guess, but we'll just get we'll squeeze as much as we can out of them in an hour and 15 minutes for tomorrow night.
That's a lot of 30-second sound bites.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's dive into it. Hey, Jeff's Malta show funds travel to Denver on I-70. He's traveling right now. That's right. Craig, thank you very much, sir. Appreciate you. Very, very kind of you. All right, so let's dive into this and get this thing rolling here. So, because we got a lot of stuff to get through tonight, I'm going to probably running right along through it. So, we're going to start off with now. This goes back to episode number 22, Night After Night. We're going to kind of combine them together. So, hang in there with us. If you saw both episodes, that'll be great, because we're going to just kind of mold them together into one. But as you saw, they met up in the war room on the episode 2 weeks ago, or a week ago. And it was Marty and the team, and they were having a discussion about what to do while Rick and his crew were overseas, going over to Malta. And one of the things that Marty had said that I didn't catch initially, and thank you for Jan's synopsises, because she had it in there and it reminded me that it was said that only 80% of the swamp has even been investigated or dug or look, it's pretty amazing, don't you think?
I thought that was incredible. I would have guessed 40, 50% maybe, after all the work they've done there along that eastern side for all these years. To say that there's still 80% they haven't touched, I thought that number blew me away.
Yeah, me too. And the thing of it was too is that the and I got a couple quotes that I wrote down from Marty here as they went along, but you have to. It's so painstaking because they have to go out there and then they got to scrape it off. But look at the things that they have found so far. Just in this year alone, they found the vault, which I thought was a great find. That vault, whether it be a cooler area for keeping food stores cool or whatever, or
It's
was
a container for storage of some sort?
Yeah, and of storage of some sort, right? Exactly. But Rick is under the impression that there's more. I don't know, but you have to look, don't you? I mean, you have to go searching.
Get the time, the manpower, and the money. Go for it.
Exactly. Right. And they certainly did. With everybody gone and, they had this opportunity. This area shaded in the yellow is where they're going to be, or where they're looking now in that particular episode. It's all this area here, just north of the eye of the swamp and south of the little road that goes across to Nolan's house. So in that general area, but on the west side. Now, remember, over on the eastern side of that same area is where they found things like the stone platform. There's been some other thing. It's all you see in there too, that it's a permitted area. They have to have massive permits to be able to go through and do all this, but
sorry to interrupt. Do we know the reason for the permitting needed up here? Because I know on the other side, the bottom end of the swamp, there was the Micmac pottery. Sorry for my pronunciation, but did they find pottery up here? Did we ever learn why?
Well, I can tell you from talking to people that they did find some artifacts up there many, many years ago.
Just not on the show?
Just not that we've seen on the show. And that's probably, I'm going to guess and say that's probably one of the reasons.
That makes sense. Cool. Thank you.
Yep.
And
you can kind of see, go ahead.
I would say any watershed area would have to be permanent for them to touch it anyway, because there's a lot of seagrass and material and wildlife and bird sanctuaries and all kinds of stuff. They have to get okay before you go wrecking some of that stuff.
Very true.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, just to alter a water course or play in a water course is a big deal.
Yeah. And you can kind of see from this picture here where they are working at the present time, right just north of the eye of the swamp. That's where they were actually started. Right there in that one spot. And right off the bat, they find a few things. They find this log. Now, that log, I was wondering about it right off the bat. We've talked about this many times. Tom, Seth, and I, and Colin, we've talked about the fact that there's so much wood floating around out there. Could it blow in from a storm? Yes, it could. It could have come from just about anywhere. But there was also at one time, and I used to have a picture of it, and I didn't have a chance to pull it up, but there was also power poles, electrical poles.
And they ran along that east side.
Yeah, all along the east side, from like Nolan's shed or garage, all the way down the east side, down to the southeast corner of the swamp, and through that area. I think it went all the way around to the money pit, actually. There were power poles. Is this possibly one of those? Maybe. Looks a little short, but maybe.
Yeah. I don't know if they made them overly tall back then, but hard to say.
Yeah, hard to say. And they are kind of, being in that one spot where they are, those power poles would have run right along by these bushes on the right-hand side. So it is kind of close to where they would have been. There was a road
that went that whole side of that east side of the swamp.
Yep, there was a road there as well. Yep. Yeah, maybe even along the coach was just saying maybe even along the east side of Nolan's house. Can't recall, but there was a picture out there someplace for that at one time.
Yeah. So it could just be a log.
It could just be a log. Yep. And then they found this piece of wood here that was in the bucket. I grabbed that one real quick. And then there was this one they found that actually had been notched out. Now that is a little different. A little bit more significant that's been notched out. And you can see that it was crudely notched out. It wasn't done,
And it doesn't look like there's any nail holes in it or doweling holes or anything.
No.
So it was made to rest on something or inside something.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, like a Lincoln log. Yeah.
Yeah.
So neat on that. Now, the one thing too that I wanted to mention when we start talking about these. Oh, here's one more picture. I'm sorry. I grabbed this one. They didn't show this other log. This one down here in the bottom. This one down here. They didn't show that on the show except for this one little picture. That's the log with the notch in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one here has been cut out as well. You can see how it's been cut out to fit something.
Yeah. It's quite a sizable timber too.
Yes, it is. So,
but you got to think on the outer edge. There's a road on either side of the island now.
Mm-hmm.
But even back in I don't know, the predecessors that were farming stuff. I mean, they would have had some type of reinforced road structure, and odds are it would have been wood. To just take animals traveling back and forth from one side of the island to the other.
Yep, for sure.
Kat said log house cuts, possibly.
Could be.
Yeah, possibly. Like Lincoln logs, putting them together could have been. A couple of things that I wanted to mark out also that like Marty had said when I mentioned earlier, you had the stone pathway, you had the what we're calling a seawall. We're not sure exactly what that was in the north end there, but also the vault and the roads. I mean, there's and one thing that Marty had said on this for sure. When this is where they were digging, where they pulled those logs out just north of the eye. He said for sure someone built this to get out here. Okay. Question is why and who? The swamp, if not man-made entirely, at least was manipulated for something very important. And we've talked about that many times. That the stone path, the stone platform, the stone road, in this little vault that they found, the survey stakes that could be actually fish trap stakes,
fence stakes, goodness knows,
fence post stakes, whatever. Obviously, this swamp has been manipulated. There's no doubt about that at all in my mind, and I really don't see how anybody could say
and it was. And it was, to Marty's point, it was very important. Because you didn't put that kind of manpower behind moving that many rocks if it wasn't important.
Absolutely.
You dumped them at the nearest place you could dump them if you were just, getting rid of clearing a field. So it was important to someone.
Yep. Now, we talked about this a little bit prior to the show tonight, with Colin about the swamp, whether or not it was, and I made that, the last show we had over 2 weeks ago, we talked about the fact that was the swamp truly man-made, and I don't know, the evidence is still out on it. You can't say that it wasn't, with the water levels changing over the years and everything else. And you talked about, Colin, you mentioned some of the other islands, right, that are similar with bogs in them.
Yeah, there's quite a few. I mean, there's dozens, if that was back in the day. I think there's 365 islands in Mahone Bay a number of years ago. We've lost a lot of them just to rising sea levels, and some of the islands were just simply rocks. But even currently today, there's a handful of islands that have that, rocky, sandy shore, some tree line, and then in the center you get the big kind of bog swamp. And you get some crazy storms in here. I'll tell you, the wintertime, hurricanes. Now, this last winter, we've been reasonably fortunate. We didn't have anything too crazy. But in previous years, some big hurricanes and all that stuff blows up over the shoreline and gets into the center of the island, and the water and everything collects, and it's where the bogs come from, right?
Yep.
And so it's the Oak Island structure itself isn't super crazy unique, not to the area. There are other islands in the area that are very similar. So the whole, is that necessarily man-made? I don't think so. I certainly would agree that it's been manipulated 100%.
Yep.
And there has been lots of operations from just farming now certainly mining or digging holes stuff is clearly one as well. And they would have had to get from the mainland to the first section of the island, and then really out to the, I'll call the outer or second section of the island, which is the money pit area. And now we have, the guys have constructed really new state-of-the-art seawalls and gravel roads. But even up to 100 years ago, there would not have been. So what did they use? It would have been, wood, rocks, earth, whatever they can do to fill. To fill that area and to bring, oxen and animals and working material and stuff out there. So
for sure. And these roads that they've been following, as we know, throughout the season, we've watched them go up and follow this path, stone pathway, they're calling it, all the way up to the north end of the swamp, the bog, North Bog. And then as it looked like it turned and went to the west towards Lot 5. And you think about Lot 5, if they were working in the money pit area and knowing that that's on the tallest or one of the highest points on the island, if you're out there working, you're not going to want to be seen by ships that might be going by. So you're not going to want to live there and have your cook fires and all that kind of stuff. So Lot 5 being around on the backside, kind of on the hidden side, makes sense. You're going to need a road to get back and forth, a walkway, a pathway to get back and forth. So is that plausible? Yeah, I think it is. So, and again, only 80% of the 80% of the swamp still being uninvestigated. You pretty much have to, as time permits, you've got to scrape off more and more and more of it, because there's other answers there that I think they're going to find as they go along.
You can still find some pretty cool stuff in there, even if it wasn't related to the mystery.
Absolutely.
In there.
I agree. So next, now here's where we're going to combine the two shows together, because this part was on last night's show where they're working over in Lot 1. And this was when they went, you remember a few episodes ago where they went and they looked at the Frederick Blair. They're calling it a treasure map. Whether it's a treasure map or just a map that Blair had, they were working that area, and they went out and they found those stones. Well, last night they went over and they started, here's a picture of that map. They went over and they started to look at some of these stones. And again, this is one of those things that as time permits, you have to check this out. They already went out and they looked at these. They verified that these big stones that are highlighted in these circles right here, and right there and here, you have to go look at them. You have to investigate it a little bit further. They had gone out, did a little metal detecting. They pulled out a steel spike at one point, when they first went out there. But now they're going back out there and they're pulling up these stones and seeing if maybe there is something more to it than directional markers. And if you remember also that at one point they went out and they surveyed the island. They had that section was surveyed. The guy was walking around with like a GPR on his back. He was walking around out there, and they did find that metal. It was supposedly a metal anomaly right there by the road, and pretty close to where this one dot right here is, this upper one right here on the right. So you've got to go look, and look, they did. So they went out there, they picked up that first big boulder, moved it out of the way. And right away, Gary goes in, did a little bit of metal detecting. He found this piece of metal, a spike of some sort, or a chisel, or I'm not sure exactly what it is. We haven't seen any analysis on these yet. They did pull out another big log.
Was this the same one where they found the wedge?
Yes. This wedge right here.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah. Because you could think, it was, the treasure map certainly accessible beforehand. So was it the previous gen had already heisted the treasure that was underneath the boulders? It was clear they had some metal tools, they had some wedges, and they were working at getting at it.
Yep.
So was it actually there and someone else already got it, or?
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I didn't
or
think
were those the tools from people actually putting the rocks there?
Yeah, I don't know. This is a piece of wood you're going to want to get tested right here. You're going to want to test the age of this to find out when, how old is this piece of wood, because that might answer that question here. If it's Blair's time frame, maybe they already did and they already looked under it, but or somebody before using it could have removed treasure if they found anything there. That's a good point. The one thing about it too was all the stone underneath. When he was pulling that stone, he scraped off. They probably scraped off what, about a 15-foot diameter section of all this area, and all this stone underneath. I mean, you guys have told me before about how you guys grow rocks up there everywhere in Nova Scotia and New Brunswick, but is that unusual to you, that all that stone down there underneath that rock?
There's a lot of rock. There's so much rock. That's what amazes me on them. Just someone being able to dig a hole in Nova Scotia 150 feet in the ground is, even with today's technology, is impressive. Never mind, 300 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And then they found another one. This was then they ended up going over to lot 21, and they did some work over there. They also pulled on another stone over there, but they found several metal spike type things.
Didn't they comment on the fibers?
Yes,
being hand beaten. So that those fibers show up. They remind you.
Old.
I tell people that they remind you of if you take a piece of celery and you look at all the different stalks or grains going down through a stalk of celery. If you see that, it's old.
Yeah, and that was something that he did mention on this one right here. This is the one that Gary had mentioned, seeing that striation in the metal, which would have indicated age to it, and the weight also being very heavy. They did find this one, and when and again, I wasn't there. I did not pull these things out. I have not seen any kind of analysis of this thing yet, but you know what that reminded me of right away? That also the big pole was again a power pole. I've seen these. I got one right outside my door here. There's my neighbor's got his power pole out there with these spikes stuck in it, just like this, with the hook on the end to keep your foot from the climber's foot from sliding off. I put those two together and I said, is it? I don't know, but got to get this.
Remember when we did the tour with Tony, the Salty Dog Tours? Because that lot 1, that's where the was it a mill?
Yeah, there was a mill there. Yeah,
that was there, like right, like almost right where that rock, like in that particular area, there was a mill. So
I think there was, yeah.
So I mean, odds are there was some power source. There would have been some metal tools and equipment and stuff in that particular area during the mill. I don't know what year. What year would that have been? I can't remember. I remember Tony. Tony told us, and I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember either. Shoot, I'm gonna have to ask him on that. I don't remember the date of when. Does anybody in the chat, any of you, know when that sawmill?
No, the Vaughns had a lumber mill, but I don't think it was on the island.
Because remember those big concrete abutments and all that stuff was all in that lot 1 where that show was taking place, where those guys were digging, and there was the boulder. And so I don't know. I guess it'd be interesting to see if they actually date that stuff and I think someone mentioned in the chat group about getting Carmen to take a look at it. Will tell us.
Carmen dating. Yep.
Yeah, Carmen dating.
This guy right here.
How old is it?
Exactly. We need to find that out. Yeah. So over in lot 21, they found this, which is really close there, lot 21. But they found this stone also. This is one they looked at, a few episodes ago. They picked it up to see, and they found an ox shoe there in the same vicinity of that stone. I don't know if it's underneath.
Small ox shoe, though. It's a small one.
A small one. Yeah, it is. That's very true.
That's a very small one. And even Gary commented on it being a small one.
Linda said, turn around and look at Fred's map. Well, I can't get up from my chair and go look at the map. Okay. I suppose it's dated on there when the sawmill was there. Is that what you're getting at?
No, I think Renee just said in the 1930s.
Oh, okay. All right. Maybe that could be it. Yeah, a possible brick factory as well. Yeah, that was also, David, that was also mentioned that there might have been a brick factory on the island, or at least a place where they made some that they were using on the island. I don't know about a factory that would send them over to the mainland or not, but certainly, maybe something they could use there.
That's a small offshoot. I mean, if you've ever been next to an ox, and Carmen took us up to show us the oxen and things where he worked there, and in the oxen, stand next to the oxen, see the oxen. That's a tiny ox chute, let me tell you.
Little baby ox.
Yeah. Yep. So was oxen used in moving the stones around? Well, I guess that's a speculation that can be done, but I don't know. It's put there again, though, these big rocks underneath. So, I mean, they keep finding these, and I keep wondering, man, is there roads all over this? Old roads all over this island?
Well, it's like Colin says, if you're going to join those two drumlins, right, you got to fill this thing full of rocks. So,
but over the last 200 years, which is still a long time, we know for a fact that there was farming going on, and forestry. There was 100%. There was a lumber mill that was going on there. There was a lot of fishing that was going on there. So there's a lot of activities that would have required animals, dragging supplies, feed your family. Yep. Samuel Ball would have been carting cabbage and stuff off of the island onto the mainland. So we would have needed some form of roads. And we see all that exposed stone. That wasn't what people or the ox were even driving. The stone was meant to fill in for the soft areas, and then they were filling that over with just dirt. So it would have looked like, regular, like a dirt road, but they would have reinforced the undercarriage. So that was, I think, in one of the shows a while ago, they had showed in Europe and Portugal, where they were, I think it was Portugal, when they were building, how they built those stone roads and how similar that was to Oak Island, which I think, that technology they would have needed to do to have animals and all the slipways, because they would have been coming out with boats. And
they made a comment also last night about the soil level, and when they were digging down with when Marty was digging down with the excavator, they got to a point where they said, "Oh, we're at the sea horizon." So
sea horizon,
stop there. So I grabbed a picture of that as well, just so people could. I'm a visual person. I need to see this. So there you go. You're talking about the surface. You got your topsoil layers, and then you got your sea horizon. Really, there's not going to be much.
Oh, letter C. I was thinking sea horizon.
I was too.
Or sea level.
Yeah, I was too. I absolutely did. And I saw this one. Oh, sea level.
I didn't catch that last night until just now, looking at it, going, "Oh, okay."
When you get to the sea horizon, that's about the bottom layer of where you're going to find human activity.
Right, because that would have been deposited by the glacial
that's natural, like glacial till or whatever.
Yeah, glacial till. Right. So that's when they know when to stop. You go any deeper than that, you're not going to find anything, because it wouldn't have been deposited there. So, and they never get down to that when they're in lot 5 working, they never get down to that deep anyway. So, that's, if they do, they stop there, but that's where you're going to find your artifacts above that layer anyway. So just wanted to show that so people get a better idea of what that's all about. We had a picture that was in, we were trying to remember, Tom sent this over to me, and this was one of, this was actually taken by somebody on a Tony Samson Sea Tour.
It was on Tony's tour.
Yeah, one of the tours, and it wasn't on ours, I don't think, but look how low he is down there. This is when they were working in that north end of the swamp. So it was kind of a neat picture to see Steve out there.
And that's the seaward side of the road.
Yeah. Yes, it is. It's very close, because you can see where the right down here at the bottom was where the beach is. So he was very close. Yeah. So anyway, interesting picture there. Let's see what we go next is.
Before we move on from that, the rock, the second one, that was the one that when Steve came out, he said, "This is the spot that I figured everything else out from."
The anchor point. Yep.
Yeah. And he was like, as if it's an anchor point. And someone in the chat earlier on the first boulder we talked about, a person said, "Oh, I wonder if they were trying to keep that rock up in sight." So just like those spikes, in addition to the rocks, they were really putting structure to keep the rocks up. And that makes sense given what Steve said about the second rock. which to me impressed me because we're about as far from the money pit as we could be on the island right now. And you're telling me we have a key anchor point rock that's going to help you figure out everything else from a surveying standpoint. So I felt like, Marty kind of with the swamp, and I think he said it about the whole island as well. He was like, I would have never believed a couple of years ago that the other half of the island had anything that was going to help us in this. And now we realized, and I feel like these rocks really, to me, I was like, dang, like we're so far away. And yet you've got a key. I would have never thought, here's where I should start. But, anyway, so that was kind of my thought with that, where I thought, wow, that's pretty significant little observation from Steve.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and, going back to, how I mentioned earlier about, you really need to check out the entire swamp. Honestly, you got to check out this entire island. I mean, I would.
Someone in the chat said maybe even the whole bay. There's been episodes where they have looked at other islands, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They've been out to Apple Island.
Apple Island, yeah.
Mm-hmm. They've been out to that one. I remember years ago they went out to that little one. And they looked around on there. It was about the time that they had Dr. Travis Taylor was out, and he did was it Cygnus? He laid Cygnus over the island, I think it was, and lined it up. And one of the dots was on that little island. So they said, well, we got to go over there. Also, there was on Zena's map, there's that island is it Frog? Is it the next one that's private?
Yeah. Frog Island, yeah.
Frog Island.
Yeah. And that's on Zena's map, and it's got what everybody calls a date written on there. And I still debate whether or not that's an actual date because it's written out instead of numbers. So
1347, you mean?
1347, yeah, and it points to a spot on that other island.
Yeah.
So is that significant? And that's privately owned. The whole thing is privately owned, right? That whole island.
Frog Island is,
yeah.
Yeah, and it's almost similar because it's almost like two islands. We look at it, and it's got a little bit of a swamp here in it too, in the piece. But anyway,
yeah. So what could be over there that person knows about or may not know about on that other island? You just don't know. It could go on and on for any.
The gentleman or the folks that own that island, they come and go by helicopter. He has his own helicopter.
Wow.
Okay.
1347 was a measurement. Oh,
that would be a cool flight.
Different people have speculated that 1347 was a measurement.
Yeah.
The only thing I say about 1347 is you remember when Gretchen had them over in England, I guess, down in, I don't know, call it the tunnel, the cave, whatever. The date up in the top left-hand corner or the number was 1347.
Mm-hmm. Didn't that have something to do with the Black Plague too, around that same time frame? I thought that was anyway
in that range. I think, yeah.
Yeah, I just making me think about that. All right, let's dive over to Lot 5. And this was on the previous episode. Actually, there was some on both. A little bit of Lot 5. And I grabbed this picture because you could see the two different excavations that are going on and how they're broadening this. You got Moya, and it looks like Helen is they're over here working in the yard area. They were calling it I think the front, I forget now. It was a yard area.
Like they got a subdivision going on there now.
Yeah, exactly. And Ethan, they're working this area over here. So, and Jillian, and then Ethan finds this piece of pottery, which I thought was pretty cool.
Big piece of pottery.
Yeah, big piece of pottery. And they called it, Helen called it slipware.
Slipware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was kind of cool to see why they called it slipware. I had no idea.
I didn't either. Yeah, I didn't either, about adding that wavy line in there. She called it slipware, dated to the late 1700s. And then right after that, he finds a whole bunch of pieces of another, like a plate or something, and called this creamware. About the same time period. So Ethan was having a great day. He was having a really good day because right after that, there's some more of the creamware. Right after that, he finds this button. And this button turned out to be really, really cool.
That was interesting.
Yeah, him and Fiona were checking this thing out, and yeah, it was very, very interesting. This button, and we'll get to more of that when we get to the analysis of the button in the lab when they get looking at it. All right, let's do the first giveaway right now. Let's have at it. If you're ready. Oh, Linda's not there.
No, I was about to say, wait.
Yep, Linda's not there. All right. Well, as soon as Linda gets back, we'll cover the first one real quick. Let's continue on. Here's a look at that button, and they kind of compared it to the button that was found a while back on Lot 5. That they're saying the one on the left, of course, they're talking about how it is very reminiscent of that neck collar button that was on that uniform of that Knights of Malta uniform, which was really cool. So, and you know, they kept saying during this whole thing. Let's see if I got the next frame up. We got the money pit real quick. We'll kind of cover the money pit real quick. They were still preparing it, trying to get it ready for this final caisson to go down and hit the solution channel, get into the solution channel. So not much happening there. I just grabbed a couple pictures of it because you could see all the caissons that they pulled out. It was over 200 feet. Wasn't it like that, Tom? Over 200 feet of caisson.
They had over 200 feet available to them, yeah.
Yeah, and they got them all pulled out there.
So this is going to be the one that stays in, right?
I'm betting.
That's my guess.
Yeah, I'm betting this is the one that stayed in the ground all winter.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
I am too. I got a little scared when they were talking about the in the preview for the upcoming Into the Void, which is episode 24. Yeah, I'm with you, Michelle. I was just going to bring that up when we get to the lab or the museum to the lab and talk about that. But I agree with you. So yeah, they're getting everything set up. They had to do a lot of reconstruction of the whole money pit flat area because of all the collapse that they just had. Honestly, folks, too, you've seen that picture of how the caissons so close together they are. Here's a good example of it. Just the 5 that they had already done this season already. Look how close like RP 1, 2, and 3 are, and they backfilled them all. That ground underneath this money pit is probably 40% backfill at this point. Probably not. What struck me kind of
funny? What struck me kind of funny? They talked about all this massive rebuild they had to do to the site prep, and then they said they brought in 50 tons of gravel.
Yeah.
Well, 50 tons of gravel is a couple of tandem loads.
Yeah, not that much.
It's not, like a yard of gravel is over a ton.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, but they did do the other thing that impressed me too with the site prep work they were doing is the amount of the what they call the crane pads that they put down.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest part of, I think, their site prep work was the number and the size of the crane pads they put down for the weight distribution.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Weight distribution over a large area. So if they do have some sort of a collapse, and I was reading the synopsis or like the description of next week's show Into the Void, and it talks about after a catastrophic collapse, and I'm thinking, oh no, is that what happened with this one? This number 6 going in, and did they have another collapse? And I thought, oh geez, maybe that's why they left it in the ground. Maybe I'm wrong. It wasn't, well, I'm hoping that I'm right, that if they found something significant, that's why they left it in the ground all winter. But is it possible that it was just because of a failure of equipment or some kind of a collapse? I'm hoping that's not the case and that they found something significant. So we'll see. But yeah, as Tom said, look at all the plates they're putting on the ground for extra stability and spreading out the weight of the crane and the oscillator. They want to make sure they can get down there. And we know
they said they're going to place the oscillator right on the crane pads this time too.
Right. Yep. And then we know that they're going to get down to, some over 200 feet, because we saw that one caisson with said 223 or 226 or something written on it. So we know they get down there pretty deep. So can't wait for this. This final one, I really hope that, and I'm pretty sure this is the one that they leave in the ground. Again, just showing the ones that they've done already this season, and the fact that they're going to be doing the 6th one. And again, I thought they'd only done 4 or 3 or 4.
You know, last year the smart money was on 4, so it just shows you how smart we were.
Right. And you know, going along with that speculation as we bring Linda on for our giveaway, you know, I thought about this on last night's episode when it was happening that you know, I do a lot of speculation here on this show, and I don't think I even come close to how much speculation that Prometheus does with Robert Clotworthy, what he's reading about. Could it be a part of a treasure chest? I mean,
Yes.
they got us hands down, Tom. We don't we don't speculate as near as much as Prometheus does.
We hold our own. We hold our own.
Yeah. All right, let's bring up Linda. Hey, Linda, how you doing?
Sorry.
Yeah, are you happy to see Colin back? I mean, come on.
I'm delighted to see Colin back.
Great.
I'm always happy to see Colin.
Yep.
Happy to
I
be
tell you
seen.
what. Huh?
Happy to be seen.
Yep. I can't wait to get on his boat some more. All right. Yeah, to go around and
You got a live stream from it again. Didn't you stream
Yes.
from his boat last time?
not from his boat. I did from Tony's. Did I do
Tony's,
from
okay.
yours
Yeah.
also? I don't
I
remember.
feel like
Yeah.
maybe I just saw pictures.
Yeah, we did have a lot of
Oh,
pictures.
We thought we were getting busted with the drone was flying
Yeah.
all around the bottom, but
Yeah, I thought. Yeah, I thought.
people
Yes,
running down the beach waving at us like, "Hey, whoa, whoa, whoa!"
yeah, and I thought that's not our drone. It's not our drone. It was flying right over top of Colin's boat.
Oh, they were gonna blame you guys for flying a
I
drone.
thought
It wasn't
so. I
even
thought they were
y'all's.
mad. That
It was
our
them
drone.
checking
They
us
weren't.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, not
It was
our
the
drone.
show.
Yeah, I didn't want to get the Oak Island police out there after me for that.
No.
We know they don't like private drones around there. All right, so we've got this first giveaway is again the map. This is the and this was a Fred Nolan map, right?
Right. It's a 1974 map that Fred Nolan did.
Yep, and I have it right over here on my wall. I love that thing. And and then also this it's like a coaster that was made, and we got that you had it Slon White's.
Right. Carrie Slonwhite is Karen Publicover's twin sister.
Oh.
Yep. And this was something that we picked up, Christine and I picked up when we were there, and got it from Karen, and we thought this is really a great thing for a giveaway. So we got those two going first. Real quickly, I'll say this, try to rip through this really fast. To be eligible for this, you have to be a member of our Facebook group page, The Curse of Oak Island and Beyond Skinwalker Ranch. Linda will put out a post on the Facebook group page with the pictures of what our upcoming giveaway is. And all you have to do is comment on that post with a yes. You must be present at the podcast to win. We give you about a minute or so to say, I'm here, and then we'll get your details. If we don't, we'll spin again, and we'll keep going until we get a winner. So anything
And
else I need to say about that,
Another
Linda?
thing that I need to say about this is if I'm mailing 2 things to Canada, you don't attach the customs form until you get to the post office. So you're carrying 2 boxes because I was sending 2 things and you're carrying 2 customs forms. And if you put them on the wrong boxes, then Darlene Doogie gets Kat Fulton's birthday present and Kat Fulton gets Darlene Doogie's giveaway. It's so fun. You never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, interesting how that works, huh?
Yep.
How's the postal service working up there now? Is things getting ironed out, or
They haven't said anything lately that I've heard, Colin, of you.
No.
Good.
Threat,
All
I
right.
think it's like the monthly threat of going on strike, but I think they're so
Yeah.
far so good.
And Tim Glunt, I know you're out there. Just please be patient with me. It's coming. I guarantee you it's coming. Just please be patient. It's been
Yeah, Timmy, that the person who's sending that to you has spent a couple of weeks in Florida with her family, and now she is on she's in Washington D.C. with the honor flight taking veterans. So she's just way behind on stuff, and she'll get it there.
yeah. So bear with me. Actually, I think it's coming to me, and then I'm going to send it out now. So anyway, but we'll get it. I promise it's coming. All right. Linda, are you ready?
Darlene says Canada Post talking strike on the 22nd.
Oh, no. No. Don't let it happen.
Legislated them back to work for X number of months, by which time they were supposed to have a deal. If they don't have a deal, then they can threaten to go on strike. So I expect they'll just legislate them back again. I don't know.
Yep. Roll that wheel. I like it.
Hey, spin that dial.
Spin
All
that
right, here we
dial.
go. Let's
All
do
right.
this. Are we ready?
Yep. Wow, lots of names on here. Good grief. Travis Turner, are you here? I haven't seen Travis pop up on the chat at all.
Maybe Travis goes by some other name.
Yes, that was the other thing too.
He's
Yeah,
not on my list.
if your name in Facebook that you're going to say yes to and be on the list is different than the name you use in YouTube, you got to say something. So let us know that, because if you say I'm here and your name isn't Travis, then I don't know.
It's a problem.
Oh, the Leafs game is 2-2 in the second period. All right. We got a lot of Leafs fans going on, so we got to keep track of the game. Tom, you're muted.
Go Leafs. This is
Go
our year.
Leafs. All right.
We're planning this
And
parade route.
sending things by courier gets really expensive, so you're just going to need to be patient.
Oh, TT
Yeah,
of
and
Toronto.
also-
I'm here.
Also, Canada Post has a stake.
There
in
he
who is it?
is.
Canada Post has a stake in who is it? FedEx or something? And
Yeah, I
Right.
think so.
So
They
if
put a guy
you
watched everything.
will, Mr. Turner, send me a private message with your address, I will get this in the mail to you. It probably won't go out until Friday by the time I fill out customs forms and get it back to the post office.
All right. Well, there you go. Thank you
Ready?
very much. All right, Linda, we'll get you back
Doing
here in a little
well.
bit, and we'll do another one. All right. As we keep on kind of moving along, congratulations to TT of Toronto. Travis, good job. All right. And we're going to go right on into the lab, which is where I forgot I had the money pit stuff in there. And they're looking at this button that they found. And, and I noticed that right off the bat, Laird was talking about his big thing on this was the eye on the back and how well constructed it was. He tells them that there's a robust eye, a very robust eye that is almost rectangular, which would mean that the button is earlier than the mid 1700s. Now, when they look at this image here and they're saying, oh, it looks just like that Knights of Malta button, I'm like, no, it really doesn't.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry,
Yeah.
not buying it.
No, it doesn't look like it at all. I don't think it's.
Yeah, I see.
It's go ahead.
I was going to say I see sun rays on the old button and a floral, spinning wheel on the other button. They're like, one's floral and one is sun's rays to me.
Well, they look like in the center. They look like lilies or something.
Yeah, like lilies or something. Yeah, these little flowers are going around right here, and
beneath those.
I mean, if there is a connection to these two, I would imagine it would come from somewhere in what the lab's data is going to tell us, because the design, I did not see any sort of correlation.
The closest thing to that design is in that small center circle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those what I call the fiddlehead tops kind of go in that.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
These right here.
Now maybe I'm uninitiated and I just don't see it.
I thought lilies over fiddleheads. So what can I tell you? I'm from the Maritimes.
Fiddleheads. I like that. Those things are awesome. They had one of those.
Probably no fiddleheads in Texas, I suspect.
No, I don't know. I like the name though. Yeah, and I get what you mean. Looks like the head of a fiddle.
Ferns. They talk about ferns.
Yeah, ferns. It's as it's growing. It's a fiddlehead, right? It's all curled up. Yeah, we have those in the UP of Michigan.
It's beautiful. Do you have because when you look at the before, you do not see that detail. The before looks just like an old rusty circle. And hearing Laird talk about the thickness, I did have that thought when they first pulled it out of like, oh, okay, there's a button. Like not a small squished sad looking thing, but looked like a. What was it? Robust is what was this
robust
word?
Is
that's a robust button right there.
And you figure if it's from the 1700s, it's been underground for over 300 years.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Isn't that crazy? That's a neat thing to think about too on that. Exact, what did Bill say? At least another 2 weeks before fiddleheads are up.
Yeah. The freshet's still up. So
True.
once the freshet drops, then you can get in and start picking your fiddleheads.
Yep. Start picking your
Usually
fiddleheads.
around a long weekend in May. Around
Yeah.
here anyway.
What do you do with them besides? I mean, is there?
You boil them and eat them.
Oh,
just
really?
Just like you would any other vegetable. Yeah.
What does it taste like?
They're fantastic. A little bit of butter, and vinegar.
Here.
Colin's like, no.
Colin,
One
you from here?
says all
Colin, you from here?
My
They're
mom
gross.
likes
Cat
them,
says
and
they're
I'm with
gross.
I
Cat.
love them. I love them. They're great.
Yes.
Well, I'm gonna have
Cat,
to try
I'm
it.
on Team Cat on this one.
Fiddleheads, adults, you name it, I'll eat it.
Yeah. Oh, geez. Yeah. Yummy. All right. Let's do it. Let's dive into Malta, shall we? I think this is a great time to jump into it. We're at about
Let's
an
go.
hour in, so let's see if
Let's
we can
go to
get
Malta.
Let's go to Malta. All right. And I just wanted to say too, real quick, that with this whole thing about Malta, when they brought it up a couple of weeks ago with Judy Rudebush doing her presentation in the museum for the whole Malta thing, I thought, man, here we go with another possible connection of some knights and this and that. I'm thinking, how many more can we add to this mix? But all that aside, boy, they really have nailed some pretty interesting information this time that really could tie this all together. So that's why I did my thumbnail tonight on that particular subject, because it is very, very plausible that this could be the way things kind of went down. We'll find out more tomorrow night when we have Corey and Mole on the show. We'll get to his presentation here in a little bit, but over there and here, look at this place. I mean, I would just
That's
love.
incredible.
I would love to go here. I don't know. Have you guys traveled anywhere, UK, anywhere over there? Any of
Nothing
you?
like that. No.
Me
No,
either.
I've never been overseas, only to Mexico.
I would love to go here. This is such a cool place. And it's an island, right?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. All right.
Uh-oh.
You're in trouble. Got a private message now.
Oh, no, I did not. Thank you, Linda. I'm going to bring that up before we go tonight. Thank you very much. Did not see that. All right. But anyway, this is really just a really, really cool place to architecture and these fortifications that they built here. Really, really cool. So there's Emiliano and Matthew Balzan that they met over there, and he was able to give them a tour of the first place that they went to, that I'm searching for a name.
St. Elmo.
St.
St. Elmo.
Okay. Thank you. And you noted this right off the bat, and I saw that
Yeah.
too. See this eye up here? Now, I noticed that when they were walking in there, and I'm glad you did the screenshot of it. What's that? Do we have any idea what that represents? The all-seeing eye yet again? Is that? I don't see a triangle, of
Nothing
any kind.
else, but I mean, the symbol's the symbol, right? The all-seeing eye.
Yeah. And where have we seen that?
It's
On
from
the
the
dollar
1500s.
bill? And
Yep.
I mean,
Ancient Egypt.
yeah, tying some of that stuff together. I mean, that's pretty interesting. Anyway, they were meeting there, and they showed Matthew there. I forgot his name all of a sudden. They showed Matthew this
Pickaxe.
yes, the pickaxe. Thank you. Gosh, I'm just my mind is floating around here. The pickaxe that
Well, there's so much on Malta. Like,
I
it's
know.
incredible.
That's why. But yeah, so I love the field trip. Such a rich history and the links to Oak Island. I absolutely, yeah. Thank you, Warren, very much. I agree with you 100%. This, I've said that before, is that they have to, if they really want to make these connections with who may have been a depositor or been on Oak Island, they have to go over there and see for themselves. And that's something that they did here. And they did come back with a lot of great information. This pickaxe, by the way, I just thought, it was kind of a neat thing to take over there and show him. But can you tie this together with the Knights of Malta? I think that's a stretch to be able to do that.
Well, it's a tunneling tool
It's a tunneling tool.
that could have come from that era. So that's
Yeah, he called it a bakan, or bakan means digging. It was a bakun, I think is what he called it. That's what they called the pickaxe. So it is very, it like Tom just said, it's something you would use in the tunneling or chiseling of rock or whatever as you go through. And I noticed that the picture that they show quite often on the episodes, it has a longer handle. And then when he was looking at it here, the handle's it's shorter. Now, did they get the handle dated? I don't know.
Well, if you're in a 3x4 foot tunnel, you're not going to have a 4-foot handle.
Mm-mm.
No.
Nope. You're going to be
Right. If you're going to swing
two-handing it or
something, you're going to be
one-handing it.
swinging it right here.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You can't have 2 feet of handle hanging.
I would
down
love to see them explaining that at the airport security when they've got
I was thinking the same thing. Where do you get the permits to get that through customs?
Yeah.
It's just a pickaxe. Like, what's up? Just a pickaxe.
Yeah.
We're all good.
Yeah. It's not a weapon. Come on.
I can't bring 300 milliliters of shampoo, but I can bring this. Yeah.
My mom lived in. This reminds me. My mom lived in Thailand briefly when she was younger, and for show and tell one time, I had this piece. It was an old opium pipe that I thought was so cool that she had brought from Thailand. I brought it into school for show and tell, and they quickly confiscated it because, like a dummy, I didn't consider that bringing in an old opium pipe would be considered paraphernalia by the administrators. And luckily, my history teacher was like, "No, he did talk about this. I knew it was coming. I'm sorry." Yeah, none of us really thought anything bad about it until a random.
Well, it's just an
teacher in the
artifact.
hallway was like, "Hey, excuse me, what is that?" And I was like, "It's a pipe."
Yeah.
But you've never seen one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Come on. Oh, April, Colin.
It's
April
history,
thinks that
guys.
you'd
Come on,
make
let
a
us
great
through.
country singer.
It's my phone voice. Yeah. I can sing for you guys later if you want.
Oh yeah, you do have a good voice, actually.
The
Now that
after party,
now that I hear it in that context.
Yeah, you should be a narrator, for books and such.
Hey.
Yeah. Jean Paul, he takes them down. I thought it was really cool listening to him talk about how when they were kids, they used to go down in these tunnels and run around down there. That was one of the things they did. Now I'm sure it's all locked off. You're not allowed to go down and investigate this stuff. But he takes the team. You see the whole team there, along with Judy and Scott and everybody. I mean, it was really cool that having all those folks there to see this. So Jean Paul takes them on down into initially it was the cisterns, right? Water collection areas where they manage your water. You think about a fortress, and these fortresses were built because they were afraid of being attacked by the Ottoman Empire. And so one of the things when you're under siege, they cut you off from any kind of outside supply.
Right.
Water is one of the most important things that you're going to need to have lots of under a siege, and water and food, of course. And looking by the size of these cisterns that they had, man, they could have kept a lot of water down there. But look how elaborate. I mean, you got a lot of roots growing down there still to this day.
Was this the place that they were 60 feet underground?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I can't remember now. The two shows are all blurring together, but one place they said they
know,
were
right?
60 feet underground.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see if I got my notes here to see. But the knights came to Malta in 1530 and transformed it into an island fortress. I'm now reading from Jan's synopsis that she does for us. Valletta, that's the place that I was looking at for Fort St. Elmo. But look at how elaborate. This is a cistern. Look how elaborate that is. The carving and the woodwork or the stonework that they've done down here. That's crazy. It's for water.
I mean, Malta's the bridge between North Africa and Europe. So even on that structure you've seen earlier, you had the picture of the eye. I mean, you can imagine all the architectural details that would be drawn in from all the Mediterranean. Egypt's literally a stone's throw from Malta.
Right.
So they had all kinds of different design cues, I guess, brought into it.
Yep. And that's something that go ahead.
No, as I say, like the Romans would have built big water and cisterns and underground structures like that, right?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, pretty interesting. But and here's some more pictures of it. I would love to go down inside these things and see it for myself. But yeah, that's one of the major things you would need would be having the capability of keeping a lot of water on hand. So they had good management of that. Now, looking at some of these tunnels that were dug, now here's where that pickaxe comes into play. When you're chiseling away in limestone bedrock, you're gonna, you can see the chisel marks on the or pickaxe marks on the walls.
And who wrote that when they originally dug the money pit? They saw the marks going down. Was it the
Yeah,
pickaxe?
that would have been in clay and hard clay and stuff rather than limestone. But it did make me think about something that most of the time when we see these tunnels and underground rooms and whatnot that were created by the Templars or other knights, they are often in limestone. They're in bedrock. They're in rock. And it made me think about the bedrock that they're now starting to get down close to when they're doing in next week's show, this last case on getting it down that deep. This is where they did most of their work, was in rock.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I keep thinking that that's where they need to get down to in the money pit, down to that depth. Obviously, to get down there, you're not going to be going through a lot of rock to get down that deep.
Well, just the pickaxe alone was brought up from 145 feet, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's when I'm looking at this going, man, they need to be down that deep. And every time they would do a borehole of some sort, they'd get down to bedrock and it was all stop. All right, pull it out. Let's go to the next one. We didn't find anything here. It's like, no, you need to get down into that bedrock. Maybe they have this time. I really hope that they have succeeded with that. But you can see this kind of chiseling work. This is the rough opening. If they want to come back later and smooth it up and make it all nice and pretty, they obviously have the technology to do that and the capability to do that. But this is the rough cut here. So, and yeah, that was an RF1 that they found that the pickaxe down there that deep in the ground. But again, they had this fortification to protect themselves from the Ottoman Empire. And I guess the Ottoman Empire did actually attempted an invasion in 1565. So it was good that they had all the fortifications and everything that they had done there. What they do then is they go over to the island of Gozo, the Malta island of Gozo. I grabbed this picture just because I thought this is so cool looking. And again, another reason why I would love to go there and see this for myself. Look at this, like a inlet over here where goes in. I don't know how far it goes in, but that's just cool. And the clarity of the water. I'd love to see it. And more fortifications that they've done over there. And again, the stonework. I mean, everything is all stone around this place. You go inside, and in here, in this particular meeting, they are meeting up with Dennis Darmanin. They're meeting up with Dennis, and this is where they show him the button that they have tied to, or think that it has a tie to, the Knights of Malta. And as you see that collar button, and that was the picture that Judy Rudibus had shown when she did her presentation. Then he shows a picture, Dennis does, of the one in the lower left-hand corner. But what's the differences between those two?
The swirls are going in the wrong direction.
The swirls are going the opposite direction. And comparing it to the one that they found on lot 5 in the upper right-hand corner, not even close. But you look at the one that's on that painting of that collar button. Now that looks a lot like the one they found on lot 5 on the upper left. And I think that's where Judy has it nailed. Do you remember exactly what the guy said about the buttons when he was looking at them? The one? Well, he didn't really.
Well, he thought the button was possibly Spanish.
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Which, Spanish, Portuguese, call it what you want. I mean, it's just,
There were Spanish knights.
it's one big chunk of land, right? And to get from Malta to Oak Island, you got to drive by Spain and Portugal.
Mm-hmm.
And the Portuguese were here before 1550. These guys in Malta weren't formed until 1565.
Mm-hmm.
So the information passed back and forth. Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. I have no doubt, and we'll get to a little bit more of that as we go along here too. At this point they're still doing some research, and they go into this particular building here. Obviously, the entranceway has been all redone. But I was looking at these two brick. You could see the gaps in between. You could see stuff, and I wondered, how that was constructed. It was really a kind of a neat.
That looks to me like a place where something has been removed and taken someplace else, because I've seen that on old bank buildings here in New Brunswick. They would take down the bank crest, the bank insignia off the building and move it to storage.
Yeah.
And replace it with I'm not going to say modern bricks, but something something you can tell that's been fit in there to cover a hole that they created by removing something. Yeah. That's what that reminds me of.
Yeah. Now all this around here is original stone, and this has all been created. And
that's filled in. Yeah.
Yeah.
And whether that was an archway originally, that's just been filled in for safety reasons.
Yep.
Or something was removed. I don't know.
Yep. Pretty cool. And then the glass, you look at this glass feature over here on the right-hand side. I mean, again, I would love to go over and see this for myself. The old prison, they talked about an old prison being here. And I got a little confused about this, and maybe one of you guys can help me out, or somebody in the chat. But they were talking about this old prison, and then they were talking about the knights being held in the prison. Would knights have been held in the prison that they had built? Or this fortification that they had constructed?
Did it get taken over, I guess?
Or yeah. So I was really confused by that. And like I said, maybe somebody can help me out. But
follow by the name of Corey and Mole can help you with that tomorrow.
Yes, Corey and Mole can help us tomorrow night. Thank you. Yes, I hope so. The citadel, known as the Cittadella, was constructed in 1599. It was used possibly. Some believe the citadel was also used to hide Templar-related treasures. What would there be Templar-related treasures besides gold and silver? Maybe
gold, silver, relics, holy relics,
religious artifacts that they may have gotten from the Knights Templar when the Knights Templar were all busted up.
Surplus candle holders, yeah.
Yeah. Yes, tomorrow at 7:30. Absolutely. Thank you, Linda. But this here again, just snapped a picture of this architecture. These things is just really, really cool. And of course, I'm always looking for stuff that they don't mention on the show. So I'm zooming in on this. These are really, really worn down, and you can't really see much of the symbolism on them any longer. But that's why I grabbed some of these, because I'm always looking for some kind of symbols and things of my own. As the guys are going through, they did find the 4-dot cross.
There's more than 4 dots there, isn't there?
There is. There's actually like 7. And the way they went about this, they colored them. It should have been this one up here, colored in red, because you got 4 on the inside of it. So this is actually an 8-dot cross. Yeah, there's 4 dots in the center and then 4 on the outside. I've never seen the 8-dot before, but again, and they made a comment. I think Doug made the comment that it has a meaning that means, relics kept here, very special relics kept here. Now, that's the first time. Is that the first time you had heard that? It is for me.
I've usually heard it referred to as some sort of treasure, but.
And here we have the HO stone, which is what they found on Oak Island, that also had the 4-dot cross on it. So if it did have the meaning of some sort of very important or religious artifacts. Where April, just laughing at April's comment there. If it did, then that would almost tell you that there was religious artifacts that were here as well. It was said in season 11 on their field trip. We'll find that and post it in the group. Thank you, Linda. Okay. So 4-dot cross, very important. Does that mean that there was religious artifacts on Oak Island or treasure of some sort?
Yeah. To me, the 4-dot cross means something of value is buried here, whether it's a relic or whether it's treasure, but something of value.
Yep.
Now, did they find something or were they storing something? Because when I look at these carvings, they look pretty crude compared to like the eye, for example, that we saw. So it looks like, the Templars, we know that Malta had a lot of megalithic structures and the Templars didn't just build everything. They built on top of what was already there. So I wonder if, in addition to Malta being just a great place for them to come and potentially move treasure, maybe they went here because they were seeking some treasure, because there's so many mysteries about Malta. And, I first learned about it because of another History Channel show, Ancient Aliens, which Marty was on. He went with
Giorgio Tsoukalos.
Thank you. Yeah, they went together and they looked at a lot of these ancient megalithic sites, these ancient megalithic wells. So there's been some ancient knowledge and all sorts of stuff going on. So I'm curious if it wasn't just transportation, but them seeking something out as well that maybe they learned there's more treasure or artifacts buried in Malta. So let's go take over Malta for a bit so we can get it and move it. But I don't know. Yeah, because and the carvings, looking at the carvings, like what I started with, kind of to me lends to that story, maybe because they didn't make these buildings; they took them over, right?
Right.
Yeah, and they said that the citadel was reconstructed in 1599.
Right, reconstructed. Yes, very good point. Yep. And you see these, and man, I could spend days down here looking and searching, and who knows how long they got a chance to stay. Obviously longer than the 10 minutes we saw on TV, but
right.
I was just looking at that center you get the cross on the left, and then you get that center triangular figure, kind of looks like it's got a faded head on the top of it.
It does.
Didn't we see symbols similar to that in the cave that Gretchen took them into?
Yeah, Royston Cave. Yes, we did. Yep. Very similar. Yep, very good catch there. Yep. That's very true. And they were all over the place. Yeah. The Maltese cross was.
Yeah, and keep in mind, just because it was turned into a prison down there at some point, if it was being used to store things of high value, you may have had guards stationed down there with nothing but time on their hands, and they were carving stuff in walls.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, they called it graffiti of the time. Graffiti of the times. Yeah. Then there was all kinds of stuff. This is why I could just spend so much time looking at all these. And again, I feel they broke up and they were all looking in different places, looking at all these different carvings. And there was that one, I didn't get a picture of it, but there was that one that Rick was talking about that looked like it was a written sentence or a code of
some sort of like a 90-foot stone type code. Yeah.
Yes. And he found that little, what he was calling that circle with the dot in the center. It didn't really look like that to me, but from the picture, but again, we're not there. So we didn't get a chance to see it for ourselves other than just a picture of it. But it was kind of interesting, but man, this stuff, looking at all these things. And then this one, there was one with
the ship on it. Yeah.
The ship on it. There was a ship too, carved in the walls. Yeah. You can see the body of the ship and the 3 masts. Really, really cool stuff.
The only way they got to Malta was on a ship.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There was no causeway then either.
Yeah. No causeway to get over there either. Yeah. And then this one here, we've seen this symbol in many different places around in the UK and around that area. Here's just an example of Italy and Malta that they showed these. And again, I don't think they said anywhere where they said what this means, what this stands for, this particular.
It looks like the seed of life, and like If you look up the seed of life, there's a flower of life, and you get all the like sacred numerology, and you can draw different shapes. Like you can get the Star of David, the Star of Tetrahedron from that. Yeah, and you see it. You've seen they have these in China, Turkey, all over the world.
Yep.
So it's
There's some cool ones
in symbol in.
Yeah, there's some cool ones in China. I don't think it's the seed. I think it's the actual full flower of life. But there's like these lions that have their paws over huge flowers of life. But the carving is so intricate. But yeah, if you search seed of life or flower of life, you'll see this symbol. It's one of those universal symbols that the ancients seem to. Some say it's how cells divide, or it's telling the story of creation in Genesis as well.
I think you might be right. Yeah. I like that. Yeah. This, again, so much information down here in this area.
I'm looking forward to hearing Corian walk through that whole process with you tomorrow night.
Yeah, I know. I am too. We also have this here. And again, it was that same one that this was a picture you had taken of that ship there. Really, really cool stuff. I didn't see him point out, or I did see a cross, but none that were like the one that they had found in that other prison dome that looked just like the lead cross. That was pretty phenomenal. I thought that one there, and I saw some crosses, but none that looked just like that. So,
and there's a flag on that ship, but there's nothing on it that you can make out.
Yeah, right here. Yeah. Can't tell what it says. It's not a cross, a Templar cross, or anything like that. That you
doesn't
can
look
see.
like it.
No, doesn't look like it. All right, now before we get to here, we're going to do our second giveaway for tonight. We're going to jump and do that, and then we'll get into Medina and Corian's portion of the his presentation that he gave when he was over there. So let's go ahead and bring up Linda again, and we're going to do our second. Is Linda ready? Sorry, Linda. Should have gave you a little more forewarning, but yeah.
She's busy watching the Leafs.
Yeah, the Leafs playing, yeah. Now, this one here is for the Carmen leg blacksmithing hat that was from Carmen. And then we have the stars that are made out of Dr. Pepper.
Delicious Dr. Pepper.
That's making these stars is about the only good thing I could think of to do.
Created in Texas.
Yeah.
Les Bitten. Is it Bitten or Bitten? Bitten. Okay, Les Bitten makes those. That's pretty cool that he can whip those out. And then this tree ornament from Linda. So, and if you are interested, Carmen Leg has a merchandise. You can go to carmenleg.com, I think it is, or carmenlegblacksmithing.com. I forgot now, but just search the internet for Carmen Leg and you'll find his thing. He's got t-shirts like the one I'm wearing. He's got hats. He's got all kinds of stuff. Really cool. So help support Carmen. Keep them going. All right. So are you ready?
I'm having blueberry Dr. Pepper right now.
Blueberry Dr. Pepper.
I've never tried that.
Yep, it's pretty good.
Yeah,
it's got to
My
be better
favorite
than the
is
regular
the
stuff.
cream soda with the Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
Dr. Pepper and Big Red are the best.
Yeah. Big Red is another one that's a favorite.
Oh, there you go. David Henderson said, "Have you tried the blueberry Dr. Pepper?" No.
Yeah,
David.
It's got, like Tom said, it's got to be better than regular
Cherry
Dr.
Pepper. Man, I'm gonna have to go to the store after this, guys. Get some Dr. Pepper.
And they make Peeps Dr. Pepper.
I don't know about the Dr. Pepper Peeps.
And Jelly Bellies or whatever they're called. The little yeah.
Yeah, those are okay.
No, thank you. I'll pass. All right, Linda, let's do it. Let's do the spinaroo for the second and final giveaway of tonight.
Spin that wheel.
Spin that wheel.
Oh, I don't have it.
We don't get to hear it, but we see it spinning. That's all right. Yep. There it goes. Who's gonna win this time? Lisa Craig. Lisa,
yes,
are
Lisa
you
Craig.
here? Let us know if you're here, Lisa, so we can get you set up to get these items, or we'll spin again.
Sorry, I had turned the sound off because tonight is senior night at our high school, and the seniors are getting scholarships and that kind of thing. And my family does a scholarship, and 2 of my daughters are there presenting scholarships. So I was watching it on my phone, and I turned the sound down.
All right, no problem.
You're
Sorry.
forgiven.
Yep, absolutely. I have to keep mine turned down because I get texts during the show too sometimes from Linda going, "Hey, you forgot the giveaway." Oh, all right. So what was that? What was our name we had on there again? Craig?
Lisa Craig.
Lisa, let us know if you are here. We'll give you a little bit more time to jump in and say you're here or not.
Senior students, world time, kids at our high school.
Mm-hmm. So then we're going to jump in. And if you hadn't already heard us say this, if you're just tuned into the show, we have a show tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time with Corian Mall. He's one that we're getting ready to talk about his presentation. He was over there in Malta with the team, showing them around. Him and Emiliano had gone over and had done a lot of research over there already, and then they were there to take the team over. So that was
great.
So we're going to have him on tomorrow. We're going to go for at least an hour, maybe a little bit more, depends on his time. So we're going to have him. He's going to explain his presentation in much more detail, a lot longer too, until that they all, what was it? He was on there for what? Maybe 5 minutes on the show.
Yeah.
Last night. There's much more to it than that, according to what he's telling us. So you'll have a lot of good.
We're going to spin again. We can't wait all night.
No, we can't. Sorry. We're going to move on. All right. Let's go back to solo layout. All right.
Well, let's keep talking about food.
Food. We did put that on our Discord channel. We got food and cars and pets on there now too. Let's see. And Bud Shinkle.
Bud
Shinkle, are you here? Let us know if you're here.
John Younger, that's about 40 miles from me.
Oh, wow. Yep. Bud, are you here? Let us know if you are here watching tonight. This one might take a while.
Sorry.
Yes, here. Bud's rail page.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right.
All right, Bud. You need to send me your address in a private message. And like I said, it'll probably be Friday before those go out of here. Because I'll mail everything all at once.
Good deal. I'm looking at his picture that he has on here, and he's talking about train rail. It looks like he's got a little rail car showing there. Cool. Might have to check out Bud's rail page. All right.
All right. There are just 2 more episodes left. So we have a nice giveaway for next week. That'll be posted Friday mid-morning, probably close to noon.
Yep. Be looking for that. And then
the finale is going to be fun because it's something from Jan and something from Jeff and something from me.
Oh, cool. Tom, you and I got to chip in, I guess. Colin,
it's kind of special. More than we usually do. That's what we'll say.
Colin probably drives by the original Oak Island treasure shop quite often.
It's true.
Right.
It's true. I'll take you for a boat ride. If you're in Nova Scotia, I'll take you for a free boat ride. How about that?
Woohoo.
Careful. You're going to get a knock on your door. Hey, here for that boat ride.
Remember that boat ride you mentioned?
Especially Texans. I'm all down.
Yeah.
Oh, the Texans. Yeah. You go down there quite a bit, I heard, down to Texas. So there you go. All right, Linda. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Appreciate
guys.
it.
Thanks, Linda.
Thanks, Linda.
2 more episodes. I can't believe there's only 2 more
What a
episodes.
bummer.
Hard to believe.
And then for those of you who like the Secret of Skinwalker Ranch, that's firing up really soon too. We got just a few weeks until that gets going. So free boat rides are nothing to sneeze at. Yeah. If you get lucky, he'll even bring some poles along and you can do a little fishing. We got to do that.
Fishing action, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Hi, Captain. Prepare to board. All right. Let's get. Oh, I wanted to show this picture too really quick before we get on too far. This was the one that Jan had sent with the power poles. I was going to call them telephone poles again, but power poles on the island. So there you see, that's the water line right there. And this looks like the southeast corner of the swamp, maybe.
Yep.
I'm thinking. Looking towards Money Pit up in this area up here. That's the Money Pit. And look at the power poles. So
And they go
they
right up
were
into
there.
the swamp.
They go down to the corner and then they go up over the hill to the money pit, I think.
Yeah, because they had machinery at the Money Pit that needed power in those days. So yeah, there was power poles there for sure.
When was that photo from? When's that from?
Jan, do you know? Can you tell us? I don't know the source of this particular one. This isn't the one I actually was thinking of. That one was showing them running along the southeast corner of the swamp, or southeast or south side of the swamp. But
Be like in the 60s?
1930s, late 30s.
In the
Oh, okay.
30s?
Yeah. Huh.
Wow.
Yep. All right. So thank you very much, Jan, for finding that for us. We appreciate that. 1930.
Cool.
There you go. Cool.
Very cool.
Yes, indeed. All right. So let's keep moving along here. All right. So Medina in Malta. And this is the presentation that Corey and Mold that will be here tomorrow night. I know I keep saying that for people that may not have already heard me say it the first 3 times. And I put some of this on here. I captured some of his, they were closed captioning him because sometimes he's a little hard to understand. I don't think so, but people did. Of Rabat, Medina of Rabat there. They're looking at those symbols. And here's that whole layout of where they went from Jerusalem to Acre to Rod in 1302, Rhodes 1310, Paris 1307. That's 1307 is when they were ousted by the Pope and Philip IV from France. Is when they were ousted and they had to start making their way out of there. 1310 Rhodes and the Knights Hospitaller, and then over to Malta, which is actually right down here, which is the next slide. 1530 to 1789 Malta, in that area there. And then either he mentioned when they left that they went to either Portugal or Scotland. Some people have suggested both. They split up and went to both places.
Well, you got to drive by Portugal to get to Scotland. So
yeah,
if you're using the sea route,
right. If you're coming out right here at the Straits of Gibraltar, yeah, the Straits of Gibraltar down here. When you're coming out of here, you're going to go right through there, and you're going right by Portugal. So, could they have gone to both? Some people say yes.
It makes sense.
Because if you're coming off of Portugal, if you're headed directly overseas, your next stop would be the Azores, right?
Yes, exactly.
So you either have to go up the coast and come across from Scotland through Greenland, Iceland, whatever.
I think the Azores is right here.
Yeah,
that's them.
And then, or you come off the coast and go to the Azores, and that's where you resupply, stock up with water.
Yep. So, and that's what Corian said. We just don't know. They talked about La Rochelle. They taken off from La Rochelle in France and making their way up that way. There was some 13 ships or something like that. Again, he'll explain more of this. Yeah, there's your map showing them coming out through, just like I drew on there real quick, coming out through the Straits of Gibraltar up towards Portugal, and then maybe going up to Scotland, and then I think this is La Rochelle right here, is it not? Right here.
Yep.
Okay.
And that map there, kind of the curious part too is when you look at these some of these French names, it's so and so de Villiers, right? Mm-hmm. Well, de means of in French, so it would be, if it was Tom de Villiers, it would be Tom of the village or town or location of Villiers. Mm-hmm. So I looked up Villiers on the maps, and it's only about 150 kilometers from La Rochelle.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's in kind of the no man's land of downtown Templarville.
Yeah. Oh, I think I do have that picture as well.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, let me grab that real quick. I didn't have it numbered in my sequence here. It was, I think.
Now, I know Corian talks about him coming from Paris, right, which is probably where he was based from. But it sounds like maybe the family name could be from that area.
He was in Acre, or he presided over Acre before going to France. Like his I was reading about him too, and it was showing that like he was sent to France to kind of help with some issues in the order there.
But
Yeah.
that's the town of Villiers in France.
Yeah.
Huh.
But yeah, like you said, Templarville, man, look at this. I mean,
Wow.
there's so many strongholds that they had built all over the place. And you know, when they did this
And yeah,
whole
and it's
thing,
very
with-
true. So I think he could have very easily come from someplace else. I'm just saying that's usually the family name of origin.
Yeah, right.
You know, back whenever could have been from that area.
yeah,
Because when he left, he came from Paris. Like when he started making his moves, he came from Paris.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure you don't get to be the Grand Master of Paris without having strong family lines to that area.
that's right. You're exactly right. No doubt about that. One of the interesting things that I think one of the most interesting, and we'll get, like I said, we're going to get a great explanation of a lot of this stuff tomorrow night with Corian when he's on the show with me tomorrow. But looking at these, and he came with this whole presentation of the family line, and he will describe this much more in detail tomorrow. But Gerard, Felipe, and also Catherine. Now the de Villiers, like Tom was explaining, and she was the wife of they pronounce it. He was pronouncing it so much different than I was, and I was going by Robert Clotworthy, his pronunciation of Isaac, the Razili, yeah. And his mother was the de Villiers. So yeah, so Isaac, who is the guy who came to Nova Scotia, he was giving the task of setting up Acadia. And Acadia just happened to be where he set up his headquarters was at Fort Point, which is the LaHave River. LaHave, about 15 miles south of Oak Island.
Yep.
So
there's actually a cool park. There's a park and stuff that's there. It's pretty nifty.
I had not gone. The farthest I had gone south was Lunenburg, where we were staying when I was there, which isn't far down. So this would be a little bit further. What, maybe 5-10 miles south of Lunenburg area?
Yeah, there's a LaHave ferry that goes across, and then you take the ferry, and it's free. There's no cost involved anymore. And you take when you get off the ferry, you take a left, and it's within a couple of minutes. You're at this point. It's right at the opening of the LaHave River goes in. It's quite a body of water. Goes in a couple of towns in there.
Yeah. Corian, it talks in here about presenting new research that connects the Knights of Malta to Oak Island. Corian explains that in Jerusalem in 1187, that's when they were there. And then Acre 1291, Rod in 1302, Rhodes 1310, Paris 1307. Knights of Malta were seeking refuge. They finally found it on Malta, 1530 to 1789. And then he talked about this family bloodline right there. So to me, that ties everything together, this family bloodline. And with Isaac coming over and establishing this, Acadia and getting all this set up over here and being that close to Oak Island, is it possible that he knew more about Oak Island than passed down through the original Templars? I think it's a pretty much a given that all this information was passed along because
Certainly
we know.
Possible.
Yeah, certainly possible. Exactly. Yeah.
What was the timeline? The other fellow, Henry. Remember they had the Templar stronghold up in New Ross. What year would have? I wonder what the difference in years between those two guys would have been.
Sure.
That I don't know.
Because the fort with Villiers or whatever in the head of LaHave River, but then there was I believe it was Henry Sinclair was a known Templar who had the thing. And New Ross is, basically right inland from where Oak Island is.
Yep.
Yeah, right up the Gold River, right?
Old River, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually,
So
if you ever
I just got-
get bored, there's a couple of local guys. They just did a recent YouTube video, and it was labeled the meanest river in Nova Scotia. And they had canoed and kayaked the length of it. It's about a 50-kilometer run, and it was insanity. Just to go to show you the difference from going inland on that river is not a simple. It is not a simple transit. But it's
yeah. This is a rock that was on the property there of the where the well is that Tony Samson had gone down in a few seasons ago. There was this rock here that they said, and I got another picture of it right here. That is very faded now. You can't really see it, but I mean, that looked at one time, it was very possible that had a Templar cross on it.
Yeah.
It's really hard to see it now, but you can see kind of part of it over here, part of it on the side over here, part of it on the top. And it was, when Alessandra,
yeah.
Nadavari, when I got there and I got to go to the property and look at the well myself with Carmen, the rock has been taken away. They moved it to its location that it's at now because they were afraid that somebody would steal it because of the show and talking about it when Doug and all them guys were out there looking at it. So, so this thing sat right there within eye shot of the well, and the well was looked at to be very old as well. Okay. So
1300s, Jan said, if you didn't get to that part yet. New Ross was late 1300s.
Okay.
So really around the same time as
That's Sinclair era stuff, I think, isn't it?
Okay. I'm just looking at some of the stuff that Linda sent me here. Let's see. New field trips. Yeah. So, that was season 11, episode 22, where they talked about the 4-dot cross. Okay. Thank you as well. But yeah, so, I mean, that's, you got so many things in that area that give information that could very well tie back to, the Knights Templar and everything. And knowing that they passed down this information from knights to knights to knights along the way, it's really not a far stretch to think that they could have come over here with this.
Well, we know they were here.
Yeah.
Like, there's no question about it that the Portuguese were here. Right? Hundreds of years before that.
Right.
There's no question about it. So the Portuguese were the original Templars when the original Templars went down in 1300, their next move was to go to Portugal. Right? And then all the other Templar brands, let's call it, came after that. So was the information passed around? Absolutely.
Yep.
Was it on last night's show, or was it something else entirely that I just watched online? But did Christopher Columbus fly the Templar cross because he knew the natives would recognize it and know that they could be peaceful with them? That wasn't on Oak Island, right?
I don't think so.
It might have been Noel had sent us something about Templars on Facebook, but somebody, so don't poo-poo on the message if this is not factually correct, but somebody somewhere had said that Christopher Columbus's daughter had married into
that's true. That was
so
Jeff Irving.
Yeah, okay. So that Columbus had, access to certain maps, and that he also had access to the fact that natives along the coasts of the New World knew and would recognize the Templar cross. And that's why he put it on all his ships, because he knew the natives would be encouraged. Hey, we've seen these ships before. We recognize that symbol. And that was the first I'd ever heard of that before.
And if anybody knows about Christopher Columbus, it's Jeff Irving.
Jeff Irving. Yep.
Okay,
Absolutely.
Jeff Irving.
We got to get him back on the show, Tom. We got to follow up on that again.
I've seen his library. It's impressive.
Yes, and I got some books that he gave me too from that library. some magazines and stuff that he gave me for my birthday one year. So that was really cool. A couple years ago. Yes, he did. He
Okay, so
married
it was his
regular
wife's
Templar.
dad that was the Templar master. Somebody in his in-laws, yeah.
Mhm.
Pretty cool.
Yep, very cool. All right, let's move on. We're almost to the end here, folks. Bear with us. All right, so the Oak Island Museum, I love hearing it called instead of the Interpretive Center or with the lab, is this blue building that they added onto the back of it. Up here on the top, you see the lab portion of it. But now they're calling it the museum. And if you look at the pictures inside, they've got it set up like a museum in there now. What does that mean? Don't know. Other than the fact that hopefully one day it'll be open for the public again. I grabbed this picture because this is now after they got back from Rick and his team got back from Malta. They were having this meeting in there with Marty and the guys that stayed on the island, the people that stayed on the island. They were going over some of the items that they had found and analyzed. We knew about this button that's right there in the middle. Oh, we didn't hear anything about these other two items on the table. Looks like a
No.
coin over here. This looks
Can't
like
tell what they are.
right here.
That's
Or
definitely
barter
a coin of some
token?
sort.
Or a barter token.
Because it's big.
Yeah.
That's a brooch.
Or this other thing right here.
No, that's a button.
Yeah, that looks like a button too. Well, we didn't hear about that at all. So yeah, what was it? Something found last year? I don't know. It's hard to tell. We don't know what they are. Looks like a coin and another button, but
That looks like a big half penny or something over behind his hand.
and they were showing Rick. So Rick and his team that were over in Malta hadn't
they're
seen
back.
these things. So
Yeah.
whatever they are, they must have been just found.
I don't know.
We need to know about everything they find. Everything. Sorry, but we need to know it all. I know we only get 42 minutes in each show, and then they spend most of that time going back in time showing us stuff about the daggone analyzers that Emma uses. But anyway, all right, next time on the Curse of Oak Island. I only grabbed a couple things. Here's that area right there where the dam was supposed to be from Zena's map, and what Fred Nolan had said he found what he thought was a dam. And this looks to me like at first I wasn't sure, was this the southeast corner or was this up at the front and north? And I'm pretty sure this is the north area by Nolan's property, on Nolan's property right there at the north side of the swamp. So think so.
I was thinking that was down in Smith's Cove.
Southeast corner, is it? It could be.
There's the tree, the tree next to the little V where the wash plant would be to the left of that.
Oh.
I'm not sure. I think that's Smith's Cove.
It does look Smith's Cove-ish for sure.
You think so?
I think that group of trees there with the little orange thing underneath the leaves or underneath the branch.
Yeah.
When was that? When's that picture? That was from the last one, eh?
That was from next week's show.
I don't think they could have done all
It's
this in
not
Smith's
Smith's Cove,
Cove. It's the
No,
swamp.
I don't remember that.
I'm thinking it's got to be the swamp, and I was looking at it thinking it was up there in that corner.
Man, they destroyed that place. Yeah,
they really have. If that's what it is, but again, I don't know for sure. Well, we'll find out next week. But I was thinking it's up in the north corner of
could be.
of the swamp in the north section. But apparently they found something really cool there. We'll find out exactly what it is they're excited about. Where's the wood dam? That maybe be in there, and from Zena's map and all that, we'll find out. They find something, and I'm assuming this is in the spoils coming out of the new caisson going in. They found something right there, whatever. And then we've seen Carmen talking in there about a tool, ancient tool. So was that it? We don't know.
No.
But then also we get to see they talked about the fact that they are in the solution channel.
Yes.
They have breached the
key
channel.
That's the key.
That is the one. That's the part I really want to see. What's in that solution channel? And another vault, maybe. If they then, that's something that Rick said. Rick, he thinks that there is possibly more vaults in that swamp.
Might be. Don't know. But it's worth a look. You got to dig it and find it. Dig out that whole swamp area. It's got to be get all that muck taken off of there and get a look at it. So, what's the score? 4-3 right now. 4-3 Leafs. 4-3 Leafs right now, from what I'm hearing.
All right, go
My
Leafs.
sources are telling me.
Who are they playing? I don't even know. I'm sorry.
Florida.
Florida. Gosh.
Were they is their mascot Panthers? Or it's like a wildcat?
Yeah,
Florida Panthers. Yep.
I used to be into hockey. I haven't watched it in a while. I actually
know,
played
we-
down here
yeah.
in San Antonio, believe it or
Well,
not.
here in the Pittsburgh area, it's the Penguins, and if they're not doing well, then I don't watch much. So there
That's
you
all right,
go.
because our man Sydney's headed for the World Championships.
There you
That's
go.
right. So the captain of the Penguins is a local Nova Scotian. So
And Nathan McKinnon's
Cool.
going with them.
that's right, and he's from here too.
He's from Nova Scotia. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, look at
Actually,
this.
I think Brad Marchand's on the Florida Panthers, and he's from here as well. So a lot of things going on here in Nova Scotia when it comes to hockey.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Who's this great looking guy right here?
Oh,
Not me.
yeah,
I'm not
right.
talking about me either.
Yeah,
That looks like your dad. Yeah,
that's my old man right there. Yeah.
good
Oh,
guy.
cool.
Got a chance to meet him and hang out and have lunch and everything. Good guy. Really had a great time. Can't wait to
Just,
get back up there.
He just had
All
a
right.
birthday the other week, a couple weeks ago.
Really? Wow.
I won't tell how old he is.
All right. Don't give up that information. All right. Well, folks, that's what we had for you here tonight. We hope that you liked the presentation for the 2 episodes. I know we ran almost 2 hours here. And Colin and, you guys, I know it's getting late for you guys up there. But
Getting late in the third.
getting late in the third. All right, we'll get out of here so you can finish watching the game. But thank you, folks, for being here with us tonight. We really appreciate it. If you like the content of the show we did here for you, please consider giving us a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel and click on that notification bell. And don't forget about tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, Corey and Mole live. He's going to be talking about his presentation in Malta that he did. Buffalo Val says if the Solution Channel has a current running in it, why did the flocculant not get washed out?
In Aladdin's Cave, is there?
Yeah, well, they put that flocculant down in Aladdin's Cave, and apparently it was all dark 30 down there. So we didn't get to see anything. I was really disappointed by that, but so.
And it also depends on the rate of flow. If there is a flow in that Solutions channel,
Exactly. That's good.
what the cause of the flow is. Yeah.
Well, hopefully keep an eye out on the Facebook page, because hopefully over the next couple of weeks we'll see some early spring pictures for 2025 of what's going on in the
All right.
islands.
Yeah, and if you haven't already, please consider checking out or becoming a member of our Facebook group page. There's a link for it down below. Click on the link, and Jan and Linda will do their vetting of you and make sure that you're not a bot or something like that, and get you in there. You can not only get in there and sign up for the giveaways that are coming up in the next 2 episodes, and you get to see pictures that Colin posts.
And if Rick sends you a friend request and asks for money, it's not him.
It's not Rick. Yes. Oh my gosh. People have fallen for that whole thing. Yeah. Rick does not have social media accounts. So neither does Mark.
I would get excited too if it hasn't happened to me yet.
We get Rick Lagina trying to join the group about 3 to 5 a week. I think something
it's
like
probably,
that.
probably more than that. No,
He keeps trying to join.
I'm
You guys
getting-
keep turning him down.
We kick
I'm
him out.
I'm
Kick him
getting-
out.
I'm getting friend requests from Rick Lagina at probably an average of 1 or 2 a day lately.
Wow.
A day. Oh my gosh.
A day.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
There's so many. These robots must have thousands of profiles out there or something.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway. All right, folks. Thank you again for being here with us. We'll catch you next time.
Yep.
Right here on the Freeman Files on the
Thanks,
JP
Colin.
Netflix podcast. Yep. Thank you, Colin. Appreciate having you. All right. Bye-bye.